The things that are holding you back from what you want the most are actually not that big of things. And y'all, that is good news. Consistency in the little things is the key to success. And if you've ever struggled with consistency, being consistent, or follow through, this episode, it's going to help you. Most people have a hard time being consistent. You are not alone, and it makes sense. Consistency can feel boring. But not only that, there are 5 easy mistakes that people make most of the time without realizing it. And that these mistakes are destroying your ability to be consistent. One, you're going to learn today in this week's episode what those mistakes are, and then you're going to learn how to stop making them. More importantly, you're going to know what to do and how to change them if you are. Hey, my promise to you after this episode is that you'll feel on fire to step up your consistency, and you'll know what to do and how to become someone who is massively consistent. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, your go-to for boldness, motivation, and actionable confidence tips. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell, confidence coach, best-selling author, and founder of the College of Confidence. I help go-getters like you master self-talk, quiet self-doubt, and step into the life you were created for. You're here for more, and today's episode will help you claim it. Let's dive in and let's train those confidence muscles. Hey guys, welcome to the Confidence Podcast. I'm your confidence coach, Trish Blackwell. I'm so happy that you're listening to today's episode. Listen, if you are a new listener, I am delighted you are here. I want you to know we bring new episodes each and every Tuesday, and I make them concise and practical. So you can always count on knowing that your time listening is well spent. This is for those of you who are high achievers, who are dreamers, who are doers, who want more in life and know you were made for more. And so this is your resource to get encouragement, to build your courage, and to next level your confidence, because with those things we walk into our calling. Hey, if you are not yet following the show, I know that actually I was looking at the stats, 33% of you listen every week, but do not follow the show. Help me reach more people by hitting that follow button on your listening app, whether it's Spotify or Apple. And that honestly, it tells the podcast algorithms to reach more people. So thank you in advance for doing that. And today's episode, we're talking about consistency. Why? Because it's one of the most frequently asked questions I get. How do I stay consistent? How to be consistent? And so we're going to talk about what most people are doing wrong and how not to make the easy mistakes that are holding you back from being consistent. Now, if you're new, you don't know this about me, but I am massively consistent. I am not special. I am not a unicorn. Honestly, I think it's my background of athletics and swimming. And if you're familiar with the sport of swimming, it is a very meticulous, consistent sport. In order to be good, you have to be consistent. I learned that at a very young age, and I had big aspirations to, be an Olympic level swimmer. And what I was told and what I saw was it just took thousands and thousands and thousands of repetition. And so in doing that commitment to just doing the little things well, I also self-identified as someone who is consistent. So one of the first mistakes, and this is not even on my list, this is your bonus one. My first thing I want you to do is to self-identify as a consistent person. Most people make the mistake of speaking over themselves that they are not consistent, that they struggle, that they have a hard time following through, that they hope they can be consistent. Stop saying that you hope you could be consistent and start just taking the choice out. Be consistent. So I'm massively, obsessively consistent, and you don't need to be like me, but chances are there are some areas of your life where you can up level where you are showing up. Do you want to be more consistent in your finances? Do you want to be more consistent in your social media posting, in your YouTube videos, in your workouts, in your nutrition? Because here's the deal. You are the one in control here. And that is such good news. You don't have a personality that's hard to be consistent. This is not something you quote unquote struggle with. It is simply a decision that we make. You either choose to be consistent or you choose to not. And why do we choose to not be consistent? Because we think we don't have a choice. We think we just can't help it. We think, oh, I'm just tired. We think that the thoughts and feelings we have more authority than our decision to be consistent. And this is where talking back to yourself and parenting your brain and having increased narrative intelligence really, really, really matters. The ability to say, hey, my decision, whether I feel like it or not, is to become a person and to be a person who does what they say they're going to do. In order to do that, though, I need to parent my brain, which is where narrative intelligence comes in, where reframing comes in. If you want to learn how to do that, I teach it all in my narrative intelligence course. You can get access to it. It's trishblackwell.com/NQ. I'll make sure it's linked up in the notes here. But what makes someone great is their standards. When you change how you show up, and the consistency with which you show up, you get results. What happens more often than not is that we stop being consistent because we don't see results fast enough. So a key breakthrough for you is to, one, realize that consistency is a marathon, not a sprint. The real things in life that are of great worth, they don't come overnight. And yes, you will be discouraged along the way. Your job is to re-encourage yourself, is to remind yourself that little by little big things get done, that you are in fact on your way, that you are a consistent person and consistency always pays off. Like that has to be the core belief. There are things I'm working on in my life where I get that self-doubt come in. I feel discouraged. It feels like I'm being massively consistent and I can be very dramatic in my brain. Nothing's working. That's not true. What's true is that it's not working now, but I'm learning all the ways for it to not work, and I'm going to stay consistent until it does. So it is our job to encourage ourselves, to coach ourselves, to tell ourselves consistency always pays off. Now, that's not blind consistency of like, well, I keep doing the same thing. Consistency with self-awareness, consistency with the willingness to be self-curious, not self-critical. Curious about, do I need to pivot here? Is there something I need to change if I'm not getting the results I want and I'm being consistent, what do I need to change to get better results? Tony Robbins says this: consistency is what transforms average into excellence. John C. Maxwell said, it's not small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements over time. But this is why most people are not consistent. We want the great achievements now. We're comparing our step 2 to somebody else's step 222. Dwayne Johnson said, success isn't always about greatness. Wait for it. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. Your greatness is reliant on your willingness to be consistent. Your willingness to do the little things, the little boring things, the little breakthrough things over and over and over and over again. One of the ways that I encourage myself in my life, in my business, in my relationships, when I am discouraged or when I feel like, man, the things I'm waiting for aren't birthing yet. They're not sprouting from the ground yet. I'm watering this garden. I'm watering the seed. I'm showing up. Where are my results? As I tell myself, you know what I know about myself? I know that I'm willing to do boring things. I'm willing to do the same thing over and over and over until I get it, because I know that once I get it, it's worth it. And I know that most people are unwilling. And if I need to do 100 repetitions of something, I know most people, they stop at 33. And I am so encouraged by even just the decision that I have to go, I'm just going to be the person that does more. And doing more doesn't have to be hard. It's just a little boring. It's just a little inconvenient. It's just a little of a mental battle to keep believing that what you're doing matters and that it's going to pay off. And so while consistency is not sexy because it's boring, you know what is sexy? The results that come from it. So listen, it's time to establish some new standards. It's for yourself. It's time to say, here are my new standards, my internal standards of consistency. And you can think about this in different areas of your life. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your physical health. Maybe it's your workouts. Maybe it's your relationships. Maybe it's your marketing if you're a business owner. Maybe it's putting a job application in and you're on the job market. Maybe you're in the dating world and you keep convincing yourself that there's no good men out there, but you've been on 7 bad dates and you're saying all of it's a waste. That is not a narrative that's helpful, because it's a numbers game. So much of life is a numbers game. It's not, I hope I get to be lucky. I hope I get the breakthrough. I hope I get to be happy. You can be if you're willing to just do the numbers, if you're willing to just be consistent. Now, another really amazing thing about being a consistent person is you increase your own self-trust and your own integrity with yourself. But when you are consistent, you increase your integrity with others. We rely on consistent people. Consistent people are the ones who get promoted. Consistent people are the ones that get highly spoken about because we like consistency. It's not what you do once that shapes your life. It's not what you do once that shapes your future. It's not one decision to invest in the stock market that's going to help you retire. It's what you do consistently. So here's what I want to start with. In order to be driven and motivated and inspired to do the boring, consistent thing, I need you to know what you want. Like, what do you really want? What is it that you want? If you want something enough, you'll be willing to do the consistent thing, because there's going to be times consistency is easy. But there's times when you don't feel like it. There's times when it's inconvenient. There's times when you are so discouraged, you think, what's the point? And remember, anytime you go, what's the point? You've already lost. We've got to fight these undercurrents of negativity with fierceness and determination. Because we have to look at, investigate every thought that you think. And ask yourself, does this thought help me or does it hurt me? Does this take me in the direction of my dreams or does this make me play small? Does this make my world small or my world big? And we investigate those thoughts. So first we have to ask ourselves, what do I want? The next thing you have to ask yourself, why? Why do I want it? Why do I want it? Consistency keeps showing up when you know your why. It is way easier to be consistent when you know why it matters for you to be consistent. In business, I have a deep driving just passion to help millions of people become more alive. I want to awaken that sleeping confidence inside of you, the sleeping belief. It's just been stagnant. It's been on the pause where you've said, I guess this is it. I feel so cold to breathe life into millions of people's potential, because I believe the world needs people who are fully alive. I believe the world needs people who are positive, who are doers, who are saying, I see that thing that God's put inside me. I'm going to be courageous enough to say, I'm going to start climbing the mountain to make that thing come true, to go help those people, to be the world changer and the difference maker that I can be. But it starts with first believing it's there, believing it's worth pursuing, and then being willing to do the hard, boring, consistent work. Maybe your vision is to change the financial future of your family or break a generational chain. But you got to know why. Because if you know your why, then you'll show up. And by the way, they don't have to be altruistic whys. Maybe you are on a 90-day TikTok challenge of being consistent promoting your business. Or maybe 90-day writing challenge because you want to write that book. But why do we want to write that book? Because you want to make money. It's okay to have a financial goal. I need you to figure out, what is the dangling carrot that will most excite you and fire you up? Know your carrots. Know what moves you. And then what does it take to get it? Now, here's where you have to be honest with yourself, and most people aren't. I think we think, well, I'm just going to be consistent a little bit and the breakthrough's going to come. You have to ask yourself, what the thing that I want, now that I know what I want and I know why I want it, what is it going to actually take of me to go next level? Now, maybe you have a podcast as well. Maybe you thought, maybe I should have a podcast. And maybe what you want is to have a top 100 podcast. And why do you want it? To help people. But that's probably not the real reason. You want it for the prestige. You want it for the marketing top of your funnel to reach more people, to sell your product, your programs, right? But now we go, that's fine. What will it take? Well, it's going to take consistency in your production. It's going to take consistency in you looking at your data. It's going to take consistency in you marketing it in multiple ways over and over, all after every episode. It's going to take consistency in your networking. It's going to take consistency in you actually looking back and looking at your podcast analytics and data and saying, when do listeners stop listening? How do I improve as a podcast host? How do I add, as I'm doing here? If you don't know this, we're experimenting. How do I do a video element? What am I willing to do? What will it actually take for me to stand out in the market, for me to get that result? What is it going to actually take for you to lose the 25 pounds? You might be saying, oh, it's 25 pounds, but maybe it's actually 35 pounds. Maybe what it takes is that you're honest with yourself. And then you realize, don't diminish it, but take it seriously. Maybe it takes you having to cut alcohol out of your life for now. Maybe what it's going to take is that you go for walks in the rain because you told yourself you're going to get 10,000 steps every day. You know, I have this neighbor, and maybe I brought this up on the podcast in case she deserves the extra credit. I saw her the other day. I've seen her walking since like 2022. We live 2-3 cul-de-sacs away from each other, and she's been shrinking in front of my eyes. And I finally said, hey, how much weight have you lost? And she said, 72 pounds. We were on opposite sides of the street, shouting out. And I said, man, you look amazing. And she immediately went, it's been 3 years. I said, I've seen 3 years of massive consistency. I've seen 3 years of you and me. We are you're going to see me in my neighborhood. I'm always walking or running. I've seen you. I'm good, well done. You, I don't know her name. She's probably 20 years older than me. I'm so inspired by her. And you know what she said to me? She said, yep, I walk. She said, rain, snow, sleet, or shine. And that's what it takes. She has a driving desire to go, I've committed to walking. It's okay if it's sleeting. I've committed to walking. It's okay. It's 90 degrees. I've committed to walking. It's okay that I don't feel like it. That woman shows up. So you've got to know, what is it going to take? Because often we go, oh, but it's snowing. I can't go for a walk and I don't have a treadmill. She found a way. Because when you know what you want enough, you find the way. So you've got to be honest of what is it going to take? And you got to say, this is the work. The work is simply showing up. Once you show up at first, then it is easier. Getting your shoes on to go take the walk in the snow is the hardest part. After that, it's easy. And when you're doing the hardest part of whatever consistent thing is, I want you to self-encourage and say, this is the work. This is the work. It's okay. I don't want to. It's okay. I don't feel like it, but this is the work. And this is what's going to get me the result that most people don't get. So let's talk about the 5 mistakes that people make and make sure that you don't make them. 1, most people underestimate. You underestimate what it will take. Mistake number 2, we want to feel like it all the time. You're never going to feel like it. Sometimes those are the good times. More often than not, you won't feel like it. You'll have a lot of reasons. You'll have a lot of justifiable excuses. You have to ask yourself, do I want to be a person who gets the results in my life that I want? Or do I want to be somebody who makes excuses? The third reason is pitiful energy versus powerful energy. One of my favorite quotes is by Joyce Meyer, and she said, you can be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you cannot be both. And the way we stay in the powerful is by what we say to ourselves. And when you're talking about showing up and being consistent, it's the difference of catching thoughts that are like, oh, I have to go for this walk. I have to do this thing. I have to eat this, not that. I have to log my food. I have to try this new thing I'm really uncomfortable doing. Okay. Or we even say, sometimes it's just I don't want to. Catch that. Don't allow it. Take the thought out of your brain. Escort it out. versus this is what it takes for me to change my life. This is what it takes for me to lose the weight. This is what it takes for me to take my business to the next level. This is what it takes for me to transform our family's financial future. This is it. These are it. I am proud of myself in the little things because my little effort will have a compound effect. You have to believe in the compound effect. The next mistake that people make is that we don't value your word enough. You don't value your commitments enough, meaning your promises to yourself. One of the greatest things I learned in my life, and this was in my 20s when I was breaking promises to myself all the time about my relationship with food, and I was in a really tumultuous relationship with overeating and then undereating and back and forth and body dysmorphia, as I kept saying, all right, this is it, I'm done. But then I kept breaking that promise. And you know what happens when you keep breaking your promises, no matter how small they are, is you stop believing yourself. You stop believing that what you say matters. You start hoping that you feel inspired instead of committing to say, I'm an action taker. And so when you don't believe yourself and you break your promise to yourself, it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy of not valuing yourself or believing that you actually can or believing that it's going to be worth it. And so our job to counteract that is to simply keep reminding yourself that my effort matters. My promise to myself matters. My willingness to do the hard thing matters. Or even a simple power phrase, this is going to be worth it. It's a beautiful, simple way. So how do we correct some of these mistakes? And by the way, two quick announcements. One, we have a power phrase pyramid, our new section at the end of the show. So please make sure you listen the next couple of minutes. I'm going to give you 3 power statements you can start speaking over yourself to become a more powerful thinker, specifically on the topic of consistency. And then I want to remind you, we have these podcast episodes are now available on my YouTube channel, which you can find at Trish Blackwell, but also on Spotify. You can stream videos on the Spotify podcast app, and you can leave a comment on the show over there. So how do we correct mistakes? We structure our standards. You change your standards. You self-reflect and be honest with yourself when you drop the ball. You got to be honest with yourself. This is just self-accountability, not self-criticism. When you drop the ball, or let's just call it what it is, get lazy. We say, I'm not motivated. Let's stop painting it so pretty because that's justifiable. If you want to change your life, you have to change your consistency. We have to learn to re-inspire ourselves daily with your reasons, which is why visualization is so huge. Re-inspire yourself. Tell yourself when you're in your journal. If you don't know how to journal, I have a link for my journaling programs. They're super, super cheap so that you have no excuse to not know how to journal right. But journal in a way that you're proclaiming your future ahead of when you have it. Journal in a way that you're nurturing your belief that what you're doing matters and that it is going to pay off. Journal in a way that you can visualize and see yourself with the results that you want, that your consistent effort is creating over time. The other thing we have to do to correct these mistakes is to parent ourselves, which is really just being aware, as a parent, I've got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. And when they start being sassy or they start talking out of turn or they start fill in the blank, I say to them, listen, we don't say that here. We don't say that here. When my son says things to my daughter that he shouldn't say and vice versa, I just say we don't say that here. Change your language. Often I say, let's try again. You can do that to your brain when you increase your awareness of how you think and what you're thinking. And if you don't know how to do that, that is exactly what I teach and coach on in my group coaching program, which is called the College of Confidence. Come and give us a try. You can find out more. I'll have a link in the show notes, but also go to collegeofconfidence.com. It's risk-free. You can try us for 14 days. And if it's not absolutely exceeds your expectations, cancel and we'll give you your money back. So I'll teach you how to parent yourself, how to capture your thoughts, how to talk back to yourself. That's all the work that we do in the College of Confidence. The other thing to do is to encourage and validate yourself. You have to cheer yourself on. You have to be as impressed with the walk in when it's easy as you are when you are not feeling like it. We've got to be really proud of ourselves. And, a simple example, I had a client who wanted to feel more organized, less overwhelmed. And so we worked on identifying that one of her core areas was to have a clean kitchen at the end of the day, to go to bed with the kitchen looking spotless. But she would get discouraged and tired at night and just be like, oh, she would tell herself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do the dishes tomorrow. I'll make the coffee tomorrow. And then inevitably every morning she felt behind and disappointed that she hadn't done what she said she was going to do, which was the 5-minute kitchen cleanup. And so what we did in our work together was to acknowledge that, hey, when you're doing that final wipe down in the stainless steel kitchen and you're doing your sink and cleaning all the gunk and you fill the coffee pot up and you set yourself up for success, I need you to add in extra dialogue. I need you to say, look at me go. Look at me go. This is me being consistent. Literally narrate yourself as you go. This is what consistency looks like. This is me being consistent. And then, and if you don't know how to do that, another tool is the 333 method. It's my free workbook, and I have a 10-minute training that teaches you how to learn how to be encouraging and self-validating to yourself. It's a 3-minute habit you can do at night. You can find that in the show links or at trishblackwell.com/333 method. And the final way to correct the mistake is to self-identify as someone who shows up, that you show up and you do what you say you're going to do. I want you to pick one of these things and start working on it today. Okay, so before we do the power phrase pyramid, I have 2 other episodes that if this topic resonates with you, you're going to really, really enjoy these episodes. It's episode 347, which you can find at trishblackwell.com/347 or scroll on back through your podcast app of choice. And it's called Consistency is Key and Other Habits that Will Change Everything for You. And then episode 542, which is called More Consistency and More Follow Through. So episode 347 and 542. Now our power phrase pyramid, we're going to close out with the power phrase pyramid. It's a weekly segment where I'm going to give you a core takeaway thought, a beginner thought, a medium thought, and a top thought for you to implement and carry around. Now, I encourage you to write it down, text these to yourself, copy paste from my notes, and make these part of your life this week. Here's our beginner thought. I'm learning how to keep my promises to myself. It's beautiful, right? Simple, clean. Say this to yourself as you're showing up for yourself. I'm learning to keep my promises to myself. Our medium thought is, I'm committed to doing little things with great consistency. I'm committed to doing little things with great consistency. And our top thought, I love this one. I do what I say I'm going to do. I do what I say I'm going to do. You can even make it more powerful by saying your name. I'm Trish Blackwell, and I do what I say I'm going to do. Keep it clean, keep it simple. Hey guys, keep it here on the Confidence Podcast. Hit subscribe, hit follow. Make sure you, if you haven't yet rated the show, it's very easy to tap the stars, give us a rating. And if you can, please share the show. If this encouraged you, press that forward button and share it with a friend, your mom, your sister, your brother, your coworker. Let's spread the love. Go out there today. Go be more of who God created you to be. Be you. Be free. Thanks for listening to the Confidence Podcast and allowing me to be your coach today in your life. If you love the show, please let us know by leaving a review in iTunes. Are you encouraged by what you learned? Share this episode with a friend and let us know that the show is changing your life by saying hi to us on social media at Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or on Facebook, Trish Blackwell Coaching. Ready to take what I teach and really take it to the next level? Join us today in the College of Confidence. It's my group coaching program that you can join risk-free and cancel anytime. In the COC, you'll scale your confidence, your courage, and the changes you make in your life. It's the coaching support and community you've been looking for. Go to www.collegeofconfidence.com to get started. If you love the podcast, you will love the College of Confidence even more and see even more transformation in your life. Come and see for yourself. I'm cheering you on, friend. See you soon.